Just jullie, wie een jaren. En deze is geen hebben niet goed. Ik heb een opgezet. Weet je, beetje. Thank you. The speaker.
Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and that will promote the interest of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om al ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikalela ilezwe letu na bantu balo, umusili ukulungu kwepondo letu. Nkosi sikalela i-Afrika, kina abantwana bayo, kokhela inkokheli zayo, yonike upolo i-Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. Please be seated. Order. Honourable members, I have to announce that due to the retirement of Mr. C. Doman, a vacancy occurred and that the vacancy has since been filled by the appointment of Mr. Temba Nolusu with effect from the 1st of March 2025. I want to take this opportunity to wish Mr. Nolusu all the best with his career at the WCPP. Order. Honourable members, in terms of logistics, as been our practice to date, honourable members will participate in the sitting of the House, both from here in the chamber with the presiding officer and the table staff, and via Microsoft Teams. Our standing rules have accordingly been amended to accommodate such hybrid sittings. Honourable members, the quorum requirements for the sittings of the House are provided for in the Constitution and the standing rules. Unless there's a unanimous indication of unanimous concurrence, voting will be confined to members present in the House and on the hybrid system who are entitled to cast their votes as per the ATC issued on the 11th of August 2020. Honourable members present in the chamber and via Microsoft Teams have all the privileges and immunities imparted by law. Members who are considered out of order by the presiding officer will have their microphones muted and called to order. The Sergeant at Arms will record all members' attendance. Honourable members, in instances where the directives do not cover a particular eventuality, the standing rules must apply, and in instances where the standing rules cannot be applied, the ruling by the presiding officer is final. Honourable members, all microphones have been muted. However, I would like to call the honourable members who participate in the sitting of the House via Microsoft Teams to please use the raise hand functionality if you wish to draw my attention to a point of order. Honourable members, the media have also been granted access to the MS Teams meetings as guests of the WCPP. However, I wish to remind the members of the press that they may not use the chat room or speak or activate their cameras while the sitting is in progress. Honourable members, for the sitting, language translation services are available in the chamber as usual and on Microsoft Teams via the respective channels. And lastly, honourable members, I wish to draw and remind you that no interjections are permitted during these hybrid sittings. And to this end, I wish to draw your attention to Rule 40 of our standing rules. I now recognise the Chief Whip.
Honourable Speaker, I move that notwithstanding the provisions of Rule 18, the hours of sitting on Thursday, 27th of March and the 7th of April 2025 shall be 10 to adjournment. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion being moved? No objections, agreed to. The Secretary will read the order of the day.
Introduction and first reading, Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I now recognise the Honourable Minister of Finance, Minister Baartman.
Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, online members of the Executive, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable members, Consul Generals, Western Cape Children's Commissioner and Children Monitors, special guests, people of the Western Cape. With a shared sense of purpose, I extend a sincere welcome to all of you. Today, I have the honour of tabling before this House the 2025 Western Cape budget documents, the Western Cape Appropriation Bill 2025, the overview of the provincial revenue and expenditure, the overview of provincial and municipal infrastructure investment, the estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure, the Provincial Gazette of allocations to municipalities, and the budget speech for discussion and deliberation in this provincial parliament. As I table this budget, we stand at the threshold of a seemingly taxing economic landscape, a framework that is not keeping pace with an increased demand for services, set against a background of increasingly turbulent global political and economic environment, over and above the weight of sustained domestic pressures and uncertainties. But Speaker, we are undeterred. A world marked by growing scarcity demands that we act with care and purpose. Responsiveness, credibility, and sustainability are non-negotiable during these uncertain times and were of critical importance during our budget process. Every line item represents a commitment to unlocking allocative efficiency, ensuring productive efficiency and long-term sustainability, designed to deliver tangible results for the people of the Western Cape. Every program represents the vision of the 2025 to 2030 Provincial Strategic Plan towards helping businesses grow and create jobs and equipping you to get those jobs. Speaker, we will step up in this defining moment and deliver for our residents. Kaal voet oor Tafelberg as ons moet, maar saam gaan ons daar uitkom. Speaker, today's global economic outlook requires a prudent approach. The global growth forecast is set to increase to approximately 3.3% in 2025, which represents a marginal improvement, but certainly not to be interpreted as a surge in prosperity. South Africa's economy is deeply intertwined with international markets. While there may be modest improvements suggesting a gradual recovery, the nation continues to face substantial challenges. The global economic conditions remain unpredictable. The United States has introduced new tariffs, increasing inflation risks and trade uncertainty that could impact countries such as South Africa. In the European Union, growth remains sluggish due to weak consumer demand, energy price pressures, and declining industrial output, particularly in Germany. China is battling structural challenges, including a fragile property market and low consumer confidence, which is compounded by a deteriorating demographic profile, despite several government interventions aimed at recovery. Closer to home, Nigeria is showing moderate growth driven by its finance and telecom sectors, with reforms boosting confidence. However, infrastructure weaknesses and regulatory issues remain key hurdles. Financial conditions are tightening and diverging monetary policies are fueling volatility, adding another layer of complexity. As nations navigate these economic headwinds, decisive action is needed to prevent further disruptions and safeguard long-term stability for the people of the Western Cape. Speaker, our national economic performance has been lackluster. The latest figures indicate that 2024 growth stood at a meager 0.6%, a sharp decline from earlier projections. 2025 growth has also been revised downwards to 1.9%, according to the National Treasury forecast. Speaker, the Provincial Treasury, and Speaker, this is a new innovation, so I want everyone to listen closely. The Provincial Treasury, for the first time ever, we are now able to project national growth. And we are currently projecting lower growth prospects for the national economy of 0.8% in 2025 and 1.2% in 2026 through our fiscal futures model. When national growth falters, tax revenues inevitably shrink. With a lower tax intake, the national government has fewer resources to distribute to provinces through the provincial equitable share, a vital funding mechanism that supports service delivery. Adding to the situation is our deteriorating public debt profile, which has been fueled by almost 2 decades of continuous deficit spending as per the national budget. The public gross debt to GDP ratio reached 76.1% in 2024-25, with the National Treasury projections indicating a peak of 76.2% this year, breaching the UN Trade and Development's representative threshold of a public debt to GDP ratio of 60%. Debt service costs consume 22% of the revenue we raise nationally and eclipse allocations to education, health, and social protection. This trajectory directly compresses the PES mechanism for the provinces through the MTEF. South Africa faces further pressures as one of the most unequal societies in the world, and the withdrawal of USAID funds imposing an additional burden on our finances to the detriment of most vulnerable groups. These pressures are compounded by the risks and economic implications of losing the African Growth and Opportunities Act for South Africa, known as AGOA, especially for agriculture, automotive and textile industries, which benefit from duty-free access to the United States market. Consequently, the Western Cape spending capacity has come under great pressure to fully meet our obligations. Speaker, despite national headwinds, the Western Cape continues to demonstrate economic strength, resilience and responsible governance. While we contend with challenges in policing, transport and fiscal constraints, we benefit with lower levels of risk and actively step up to improve safety, efficiency and service delivery. Our economy, Speaker, has not only rebounded from the COVID-19 pandemic, it has strengthened. By the end of 2024, employment had grown by 12.4% since pre-pandemic levels. Growth was led by the finance sector at 6.6 percentage points, community services 2.1 percentage points, and construction at 2.3 percentage points in this period. Notably, our province accounted for 44.7% of the total national employment gains over this period. And today, our narrow unemployment rate stands at 19.6%, the lowest in the country. In the fourth quarter of 2024, the provincial economy expanded by 0.8%, driven by agriculture at 17.5%, the finance and trade sectors both at 1.2% each, while utilities and manufacturing contracted. Impressively, the Western Cape accounted for 52.5% of South Africa's total agricultural exports and 62.8% of the sector's national trade surplus. tourism has staged a full recovery. International arrivals at Cape Town International Airport rose by 8.9% in 2024 compared to 2019, of which 57.2% can be attributed to arrivals from the United States. The United Kingdom at 16.4%, the United States at 15%, and Germany at 14.5% remain our top tourism source markets. Looking ahead, the Western Cape economy is projected to grow by 0.9% in 2025 and 1.4% in 2026. This will be driven by a recovering agriculture sector, easing interest rates, and a robust finance sector, which contributed 34.2% of provincial GDP in 2024 and is forecasted to grow by 2.5% this year. Transport, while challenged by infrastructure backlogs, is forecast to grow by 1.2% in 2025 and 2.8% in 2026. The rapid growth of online sales drives increased demand for transport services alongside advancement in the Internet of Things. And for the youth that might be wondering what the Internet of Things are and how this is driven in terms of online sales, if you are a Checkers 66 fan or a Willish Dash or a Takealot fan, thank you for helping us grow the Western Cape economy and creating jobs. The agriculture sector in the Western Cape plays a key role in South Africa, producing winter rainfall crops, most of the country's wine, and supporting tourism. The 2024-25 winter crop season showed mixed results for wheat, barley, canola, and oats, while some areas faced excessive rainfalls that may impact yields. Others have benefited from more favorable conditions. National wheat production is estimated at 1.94 million tons, with the Western Cape contributing 1.1 million tons, an increase of 2%, despite a national decline of 5%. In the wine industry, South Africa's 2024 grape harvest dropped by 7%, but quality remains high, especially for our full-bodied reds and fresh whites. Lingering risks such as rolling blackouts and port delays threaten global competitiveness. But Speaker, I have to say, table grapes are forecasted to make a comeback. The table grape production is expected to recover by 5% in 2025 due to better weather and water availability. And overall, the Western Cape's agricultural sector is projected to grow by 1.4% in 2025 and 0.8% in 2026 as climate conditions improve and sustainability efforts such as increased usage of shade netting and precision farming enhance competitiveness. Speaker, from 2019 to 2024, total employment grew, and it grew by 11.7%, and unemployment declined by 1.3 percentage points. Our youth unemployment, though, still remains high at 26.9%, but has improved by over 4 percentage points, a sign that the Western Cape government's targeted interventions are working. Population growth continues to place pressure on infrastructure. Between 2015 and 2024, the Western Cape's population increased by 19.6%, while the school-going age population increased by 16.6%. Stats SA's population projections reveal that our population is expected to grow a further 16.9% by 2034, with our school-going age population significantly declining to 4.8%. Speaker, this means that we have an aging population, which will increase demand for elderly care, chronic disease management, and specialized healthcare. This raises the risk of requiring more geriatric services and trained professionals to ease pressure on public hospitals. Speaker, according to the Gini coefficient, the Western Cape has the lowest inequality among provinces, and our Human Development Index, which measures overall well-being by combining life expectancy, education, and per capita income, illustrates that the Western Cape at 0.76 maintains a consistently strong HDI, reflecting high standards in health, education, and living conditions. While the number of people below the food poverty line has declined by 0.2 percentage points to 40.3%, we still have a lot of work to do on this front. And as a government, we must step up. Speaker, crime shadows society with fear, fractures communities, and stifles economic growth. It diverts resources into security instead of progress, erodes trust and disrupts daily life, making individuals and businesses more focused on survival than on innovation and prosperity. Make no mistake, safety is intricately linked to economic growth and job creation. While between 2019 and 2024, the annual cumulative growth of selected crime categories in the Western Cape of the first 3 quarters revealed significant declines in burglary at residential premises with negative 36.8%, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs at negative 26%, and sexual offences at negative 10.1%. We still see an increase in murder of 12.2% and drug-related crime at 26.6%. This is why we must step up for safety in order to grow our economy and create jobs. Ons kan hierdie wa deur die drif trek. As provinces, we need to step up to help our businesses grow, create jobs, and equip our residents to be able to get those jobs. Speaker, I turn to the national budget process. The national budget was originally scheduled for 19 February, but was delayed due to a lack of consensus on spending priorities and revenue streams, creating significant uncertainty for provincial financial planning. Although the budget has since been tabled, the decision to not proceed with the proposed 2 percentage point increase in VAT forced the national government to seek alternative measures to balance the fiscus. As it stands, no consensus has been reached. As the national fiscal framework is being developed and the various bills are processed by the National Parliament, we hope amendments will follow. The Western Cape government maintains that increasing VAT is not the solution, and we are disappointed that the national government has avoided the difficult growth-enabling decisions. Our focus must remain on accelerating economic reforms, eliminating wasteful expenditure, and reprioritizing spending, especially as provinces collectively are bearing the burden of sustaining critical frontline services like health, education, and social support without overburdening residents. Speaker, I just want to pause here because I've gotten a lot of questions as to what happens to the provincial government if the national budget has not passed. The Western Cape government remains open. You will still be able to access education, health. Our officials and employees will still be appointed and paid. Our government will not stop. We will continue. Speaker, it is against this global, national, and provincial fiscal framework that today's provincial budget reflects a careful calibration of fiscal pressures designed to...
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable Marais, that a point of order?
Speaker, I just couldn't, there was too much commotion going on and I wanted you to address that.
I take your point of order and I have addressed that. Honourable members, order. Honourable members, this is the opportunity for the Minister to table the budget. You'll have ample opportunity after the budget has been tabled to criticise, dissect and give your inputs. Honourable Nkondlo and Honourable Bryant, I'm on the floor. Honourable Minister, my apologies. Honourable members, please allow the Minister to table the budget or deliver a budget speech. You will have, as I indicated, ample opportunity in the coming days. Honourable Minister, my apologies. You may continue.
Speaker, I'm hoping that the member was able to hear me earlier, but if he was not, the doors of the Western Cape government will remain open and irrespective of whether National passes their budget or not. Speaker, it is against this global, national, and provincial fiscal framework that today's provincial budget reflects a careful calibration of fiscal pressures designed to grow our economy for job creation, protect frontline services in a responsive, credible, and sustainable manner. Speaker, our total provincial receipts will rise by 4.7% from 82.233 billion rand in the 2024-25 revised estimate to 86.1 billion rand in 2025-26, and is projected to grow at an annual average rate of 3.5% over the MTEF, reaching 92.219 billion rand by 2027-28. These funds are vital as they underpin our ability to deliver essential services, advance infrastructure projects, and support economic growth across the Western Cape. The backbone of our 2025-26 receipts constitutes 75.53% or 65.376 billion rand, which is provincial equitable share formula, 18.9% or 16.268 billion rand from conditional grants, and 5.2% or 4.457 billion rand from provincial owned receipts, which will get us to the full total a little bit later. Following the 2024 medium-term budget policy statement, an additional 2.288 billion rand has been allocated to the pairs over the 2025 MTEF period, primarily to address compensation of employees' pressures arising from the wage agreement, and 1.5 billion rand flowing to the province over the 2025 MTEF. Speaker, provincial owned receipts account for 5.2% of the Western Cape's total provincial revenue. Our own receipts are projected to grow at an expected annual average growth rate of 5.8%, increasing from a revised estimate of 4.106 billion rand in 2024-25 to 4.866 billion rand in 2027-28. Anticipated revenue from our own receipts are forecasted at 4.456 billion in 2025-26, 4.656 billion in 2026-27, and 4.866 billion rand in 2027-28. These provincial funds provide flexibility to address critical provincial priorities. A notable share of our own receipts stem from gambling taxes and liquor license fees overseen by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board and the Western Cape Liquor Authority, respectively administered by the Provincial Treasury and the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety. These revenues are then transferred into the Provincial Revenue Fund, and on average, these taxes generate 1.395 billion rand and 56.065 million rand per year, respectively, over the 2025 MTEF. Of the 683.3 million rand in the 2025 financial year, which will be collected through departmental specific owned receipts, the Department of Health and Wellness at 452.2 million and infrastructure at 106.1 million rand will contribute 81.7% of total owned receipts of the province, mainly for hospital patient fees and revenues related to leasing of government buildings, respectively. The largest contributor of own revenue tax receipts is motor vehicle license fees collected by municipalities on behalf of the province. These fees are projected to grow from a revised estimate of 2.216 billion rand in 2024-25 to 2.606 billion rand in 2027-28, driven by an expanding vehicle population and tariff adjustments set by the Department of Mobility across various vehicle weight categories. Gambling tax revenue is set to grow, mainly due to an increase in online sports betting, projected to grow at an annual average growth rate of 22.1% from the 2024-25 revised estimate to 2027-28. Casino taxes specifically are expected to grow at an annual average growth rate of 3% over the same period. Our liquor license fees growing at an annual average growth rate of 4.5% in line with inflation is expected to increase from 51.307% in the 2024-25 revised estimate to 58.5 million rand in 27-28. This increase aims to enhance the liquor industry's oversight and curbing alcohol-related harms. Speaker, our total provincial receipts amount to 86.101 billion rand in 2025-26 financial year, and our total provincial payments and provisions amount to 89.36 billion rand. So for the youth in the audience or watching online, we are getting 86, but we need to spend 89. Dit beteken die geld wat ons kry is minder as die geld wat ons spandeer. So hoe gaan ons seker maak dat ons boeke klop? Speaker, in order to fund the 3.215 billion rand deficit we need for the 2025-26 financial year, we will finance this budget deficit from our accumulated provincial reserves. In order to maintain stability in service delivery while navigating fiscal pressures, the Western Cape government will step up and will supplement our budget with 3.215 billion in 2025-26, 1.584 billion rand in 2026-27, and 796.832 million rand in 2027-28 from our provincial reserves. Want Speaker, al moet ons kaalvoet oor tafel berg, ons boeke gaan klop. Through these combined revenue streams, national transfers, and our own efforts, we are equipping the Western Cape to meet our challenges and build a prosperous future for all our residents. We will ensure that every cent we collect and receive is spent in a responsive, credible, and sustainable manner on behalf of the people of the Western Cape, because it's not government's money, it is the people's money. Speaker, the Western Cape government is stepping up for growth and jobs, and hereby tables a 269.524 billion rand budget over the next 3 years. Our vision is to help our businesses grow and create jobs, and equipping you to get those jobs. Speaker, over the next 3 years, the 2025 MTEF, we will allocate 43.789 billion rand for programs for growth for jobs, 3.955 billion rand for programs for safety, 194.928 billion rand for programs for educated, healthy and caring society, and 23.439 billion rand for programs in innovation, culture and governance. Speaker, regional economies are stepping up their game and giving national economies a run for their money. The Western Cape is no different, as we can proudly boast the lowest provincial unemployment rate in the country at 19.6%. But Speaker, it is still too high. Ons gaan daardie berg klim. And as member Kaiser Verlander has said previously in an engagement I was at, buurvrou, ek kan nie lang praat nie, ons het 'n projek. Ons het 'n projek, Speaker. A 1 trillion rand economy by 2035, growing at 4 to 6% per year, delivering 600,000 jobs. Dit is die projek. This is the vision of our growth for jobs strategy. It is bold, it is unapologetic, and it represents the spirit of the people of the Western Cape. Van ons is mense wat 'n plan kan maak. Speaker, 'n visie kort 'n plan. Elke departement moet deel wees van hierdie plan, en die plan is as volg. Through 155 growth for jobs projects, we will drive growth opportunities through investment, stimulate market growth through exports and domestic markets, become energy resilient and transition to net zero carbon. We will become energy and water secure and resilient. We will support technology and innovation, prepare and respond to disasters. We will prioritize strategic infrastructure investment and create a connected economy and improve access to economic opportunities and enhance residents' employability. Yeah, Speaker, is how we're going to make this happen. Speaker, to support investment growth, we will allocate 45.382 million rand over the 2025 MTEF towards red tape reduction initiatives for the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. We will collaborate with Transnet to streamline the Port of Cape Town's operations, develop a digital cargo planning platform, resolve logistics bottlenecks, and encourage private sector involvement in the container logistics chain. Reducing congestion could drive 5.6 billion rand in economic growth and create 20,000 jobs over the 2025 MTEF. The Freeport Saldanha IDZ will advance green hydrogen, maritime fabrication and repairs with 24 million rand allocated in the 2025-26 financial year for stability and growth. The Atlantis SEZ, which will advance green technology manufacturing, is allocated 124.558 million rand over the next 3 years. We will streamline environmental impact assessment procedures to ensure compliance and mitigate environmental risks associated with infrastructure projects by allocating 9.516 million rand to the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning to strengthen their systems over the MTEF. To support our investment strategies, the Western Cape will leverage the G20 and B20 Summit to drive growth and job creation, host the Regional Leaders Summit through the Premier, and through DDAT launch our inaugural Provincial Investment Summit in November 2025, aiming to unlock R1 billion worth of investment into the Western Cape. These investment summits will aid in attracting foreign investment, boosting the tourism sector, enhancing the Western Cape and South Africa's international reputation, and influencing global policy discussions. To support the work of the Department of the Premier and the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, we will allocate 26 million rand for the activities surrounding these summits in order to unlock further future investment. Speaker, in order to stimulate market growth, we need to increase goods and services exports to reach 320 billion rand by 2030, and our tourism needs to reach 3 million international arrivals. In 2024-25, the Department of Agriculture supported 6 promotional activities for market access, including agricultural exports, and an allocation of 14.75 million rand over the 2025 MTEF is added for an additional 33 promotional activities for market access and exports. Speaker, Wesgro has signed export declarations reaching 2.64 billion rand in 2024-25, with Wesgro aiming to sustain exports around 2 billion rand per annum over the MTEF period. The investment promotion efforts through delegations, networking and investor meetings continue to generate new leads, and we will thus allocate Wesgro 403.277 million rand over the MTEF to continue this vital work. The Department of Economic Development and Tourism will continue its Export Accelerator program to support small, medium and micro enterprises with the skills and know-how to access international markets. And Wesgro will continue its Air Access Initiative and Cruise Cape Town program to help us secure more airlines, more routes, more ships, more tourists, more economic growth and more jobs for the Western Cape. Speaker, energy resilience is essential. Whether you're a manufacturer, a hairdresser, a restaurant owner, or a farmer, the Western Cape is stepping up to increase energy capacity by 1,400 by 2030. Speaker, this is over and above what we've already achieved in energy. Attract 16.4 billion rand in investment and cut CO2 emissions per GDP by 10%. To achieve this, we will allocate 382.874 million rand over 3 years across 17 energy programs to ensure our government is able to reach this target. Speaker, we are committing to a 15-year integrated water resilience plan, tackling scarcity with augmentation, demand management, and source diversification. In a province battered by droughts and climate volatility, water resilience is a priority. With 75% of the global workforce dependent on water, shortages threaten our economic future. The Western Cape government is stepping up to secure an additional 220 million cubic meters of water annually through bold, innovative action by 2030. The Department of Agriculture will, in the medium term, clear 30,000 hectares of alien vegetation in 2025-26, boosting water availability and jobs, with 132.158 million rand allocated over the period. The Lower Olifants River Canal, vital for 840 farms and 12,000 hectares, will be allocated 23.931 million rand over the MTF for maintenance, while 41.272 million rand will be allocated to Fruit Look, a satellite tool optimizing irrigation for sustainability. The Department of Agriculture will continue to implement this Fruit Look program, a satellite-based remote sensing tool, enhancing its water use efficiency by providing real-time data on crop, water consumption, growth, and nitrogen levels. The Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning is allocating 118.43 million rand over the MTF to, among other deliverables, monitor 38 water sites annually, ensuring quality and resilience. And it will spend 43.49, the Department of Local Government will spend 43.49 million rand to support municipalities with our Municipal Water Resilience Grant. Speaker, we need to be able to respond to disasters to safeguard our residents, our infrastructure, and our economy. We will thus allocate 205.833 million rand over the 2025 MTF to the Department of Local Government to strengthen disaster risk reduction strategies, to proactively manage climate-related threats, enhance our early warning systems and response capabilities, to minimize human and economic impacts, invest in climate-resilient infrastructure to reduce vulnerability to extreme weather events, and support municipalities and communities in developing localized disaster-resilient plans. This allocation will include 15.911 million rand earmarked for fire and rescue capacity grants, 10.211 million rand for disaster risk mitigation to support AI-driven anticipatory disaster management, 21.959 million rand for disaster and rapid response to ensure rapid mobilization of resources during major disasters, 37.657 million rand for firefighting response capacity to enhance fire response services, and 10.158 million rand for aerial firefighting support, supplementing provincial firefighting resources. This investment will strengthen our ability to mitigate the impact of natural disasters, protect lives, and safeguard infrastructure. Speaker, technology and innovation are essential drivers of economic growth and job creation as it enhances productivity, fosters new industries, and improves global competitiveness. Our efforts will thus focus on nurturing tech startups, strengthening university business collaborations, and improving the regulatory environment for innovation, particularly in areas such as climate tech, agri-tech, fintech, and creative industries. We will raise digital skills among school learners, graduates, SMMEs, and encourage adoption of digital tools by residents, government, and businesses. Speaker, in a world racing toward digital transformation, we are stepping up to make the Western Cape Africa's tech and innovation hub. DDAT will drive this transformation and have been allocated 72.012 million rand over the MTF for the Broadband for the Economy sub-program, enabling 6 regulatory improvements and supporting 19 tech ecosystems. Speaker, economic growth demands infrastructure that delivers. Over the 2025 MTF, we will step up to spend 30.879 billion rand on 924 infrastructure investments, with the biggest investments in roads and education. Of these projects, 556 are in the planning stage and 239 in the implementation stages. We will spend 11.098 billion rand on road infrastructure, 5.705 billion rand on human settlements infrastructure, 2.493 billion rand on public works, 7.036 billion rand on education infrastructure, of which 3.624 billion will be for maintenance, repairs, and upgrades and additions to existing schools, and 3.096 billion will be invested in new or replace education infrastructure.
Order.
Speaker, are the members done? I'm only on page
Order.
13.
Order. Honourable Minister, please take your seat.
Speaker, we will spend 4.415 billion rand on health and wellness infrastructure, of which 2.811 billion will be for maintenance and repairs, upgrades and additions, and rehabilitation, renovations and refurbishments, and 589.445 million will be invested in new or replace health infrastructure, and 1.014 billion will be spent on non-infrastructure items such as health technology, and 131.58 million on environmental affairs and development planning for Cape Nature infrastructure, of which we will spend 120.6 million on maintenance and repairs and upgrades and additions at Cape Nature reserves, and 10.919 million rand will be spent on non-infrastructure items. The Department of Health is implementing 3 catalytic and important infrastructure projects, naming Tygerberg Central Hospital, which will unlock service delivery for the Helderberg, Khayelitsha, and Gau Bremer ecosystems. Belha Tygerberg Regional Hospital, which will strengthen the more extensive Metro East ecosystem, and Klipfontein Regional Hospital, which will strengthen the more extensive Metro West ecosystem. Other major projects identified include the new Helderberg Regional Hospital and the Swartland District Hospital replacements. Further, the Department of Economic Development will invest 125.558 million rand towards the Atlantis SEZ and 24 million rand towards the IDZ, as mentioned previously, over the MTF. The Department of the Premier will invest 1.575 billion rand over the 2025 MTF towards the broadband ecosystem, and ICT infrastructure additions and refresh will thus receive an allocation of 72 million rand, as well as 1.574 billion rand, making up the total amount to maintain and enhance our broadband ecosystem in the province, including high-speed broadband connectivity to more than 2,000 Western Cape government sites, of which 1,600 sites at schools, hospitals, clinics, and administration offices offer public Wi-Fi hotspot services, enabling residents to access 6 gigabytes of free data per device per month. The Department of Agriculture will invest 132.1 million rand in ecological infrastructure, as indicated previously with the River Protection Program for Works and Lower Olifants River Water Use Association Preventative Maintenance Program. The Department of Infrastructure will actively pursue further funding options to upgrade up to 50% of the managed gravel road network to surface standards in our province, having the potential to significantly boost the agricultural economy, agri-processing, and agri-tourism sectors, contributing to our apex priority of growing the economy and creating jobs. Speaker, furthermore, the Western Cape government will step up, and through the Department of Infrastructure, we will complete a 200 billion rand pipeline of bankable projects over the MTF to fuel growth and jobs. Speaker, I therefore table the details of each project to this House today as part of our overview of provincial and municipal infrastructure investment book, and which will be unpacked by each department throughout the parliamentary budget process. Chairperson, to support a connected economy, the Western Cape Mobility Department will be allocated 8 million rand to invest over the MTF in a freight rail revitalization framework to ease bottlenecks and boost port efficiency, and 4 million rand in the 2025-26 financial year for intertown rural transport solution, providing transport solutions between rural towns. Further, the Western Cape Mobility Department is allocated 4.035 billion rand from the National Public Transport Operations Grant over the MTF to facilitate daily transport for approximately 20,000 passengers in the Greater Cape Town area, and subsidizing 29,598,277 kilometers of travel in 2024-25. Finally, in collaboration with George Municipality and the National Department of Transport, the Mobility Department will continue implementing the George Integrated Public Transport Network, allocating 268.862 million rand over the MTEF, serving 14,000 passengers daily. The Mobility Department will be stepping up with phases 5 and 6 over the MTEF and expand connectivity to the Wilderness and George Airport, placing focus also on transportation for persons with disabilities through enhancing Go George and dial-a-ride services with wheelchair-friendly access and priority seating. Chairperson, in order to support the Growth for Jobs strategy, we want to enable 1 million residents to access at least one of 5 economic pathways and boost our entrepreneurship rate to 15%. The Department of Economic Development and Tourism will receive an allocation of 194.7 million rand over the MTEF for programs such as Business Process Outsourcing and ICT, Work and Skills Program, and the Artisan Development Program to enhance youth employability through the on-the-employment opportunities over the MTEF. Speaker. In 2024-25, DDAT trained an estimated 100 tourist guides and will train an additional 300 tourist guides over the 2025 MTEF. The Department of Infrastructure will allocate 246.2 million rand over the MTEF to the community-based program to enhance community and contractor empowerment, including 51.6 million rand for the Masaki Seasway program, 14.9 million rand for artisan development and construction training, and 168.6 million rand for structured skills and business enhancement interventions to assist emerging enterprises to effectively and independently participate in the open market beyond state intervention. Further, DOI, through the Human Settlements Development component, will spend 77.637 million rand over the 2025 MTEF for the expanded public works program linked skills development. For this purpose, among other strategic allocations for Growth for Jobs, the Department of Agriculture has been allocated 169.2 million rand over the MTEF to invest in training 240 graduates via the Elsenburg Agricultural Training Institute, building on 80 graduates in 2024-25. There will further be allocated 9.793 million rand to e-service pressures and 7.937 million rand for vineyard irrigation upgrades at Elsenburg, ensuring our agriculture sectors thrive as a job creation. As we noted previously, Speaker, table grapes is making a comeback, so we need to invest in Elsenburg. The Western Cape Education Department will align with curriculum with future skills requirements, expand career guidance, and support entrepreneurship education with an allocation of 18.806 million rand over the MTEF to support career guidance and learner development initiatives. Speaker, to Keenan Du Plessis from Duiselsdorp, who sent in a budget tip, who asked for funding for sports development. The Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport will step up and support and promote arts and culture sector with an estimated 70 interventions for events and activities supported in the current 2024-25 financial year. This will increase to 80 events in 2025-26, 80 in 26-27, and 85 in 27-28. DCAS will fund 1.256 billion rand over the MTEF for the Western Cape Library service points, while 529 schools, hubs and clubs are provided with equipment and attire to enable participation in sport or recreation, and we will sustain this over the 2025 MTEF. And an estimated 80 sport events are supported during the 2024-25 financial year, and DCAS plans to increase this to support 100 events in each financial year over the 2025 MTEF. Speaker, I turn to safety. We need to ensure the safety of the people of the Western Cape and businesses that operate in our province. It's not just a policy commitment, it is a moral imperative. Our murder rate is still too high, and we must therefore work together as a society to address this. We will therefore allocate 3.955 billion rand to safety programs over the MTEF. These funds are directed towards reinforcing law enforcement, crime prevention, and community-based safety initiatives. To Randall Botha from Ravensmead, who asked about our crime prevention and gender-based violence programs to support the safety cluster, we will strengthen law enforcement by allocating 1.311 billion rand for the Law Enforcement Advancement Plan, LEAP, K9 units, law enforcement reaction units, and our key safety partnerships. The Department of Social Development will receive 235.238 million rand over the MTEF for victim empowerment program to support gender-based violence victims of violence, particularly women and children. There will be allocated 822.186 million rand over the MTEF for child protection services, and they will receive 353 million rand over the MTEF for their family strengthening program to build resilience and reduce vulnerability to violence, including evidence-based parenting initiatives, marriage counseling, family support, and shelter services for unhoused families. To combat gangsterism, the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety will spend 96.6 million rand over the 2025 MTEF to support the Provincial Joints Anti-Gang Priority Committee, which coordinates the Western Cape's response to the National Anti-Gangsterism Strategy. The department will assess 84 community policing forums, 36 community safety forums, and approve 600 neighborhood watches over the 2025 MTEF. And they will receive additional funding of 2 million rand for the Provincial Safety Coordination and Intelligence Centre, bringing the total allocation to 6.274 million rand for the centre over the MTEF. We will spend more than 91 million rand over the MTEF for our Western Cape Education Department Safe Schools program, and our Western Cape Mobility Department will spend 1.56 billion rand over the 2025 MTEF to enhance traffic law enforcement and road safety, of which 148.3 million rand is dedicated to road safety management, with a major portion supporting the Safely Home campaign. And they are also allocated 352.8 million rand for the integrated transport system, which includes the integrated transport hub for improving systems for traffic and road safety management, public transport regulation, and freight management. Finally, 188.29 million rand is allocated to the Western Cape Liquor Authority to maintain its capacity to enforce the Western Cape Liquor Act at liquor outlets across the province. Speaker, I move to the programs in an educated, healthy, and caring society. A strong economy, abundant in jobs, and safe communities are all dependent on the well-being of our people. And for this reason, we need to foster an educated, healthy, and caring society. Even in the face of significant budgetary pressures, we will not compromise on delivering essential services that safeguard human dignity. We will therefore spend 194.928 billion rand on programs supporting educated, healthy, caring society as a policy priority. Speaker, those are for the programmatic themes. When we look towards the votes within the social services and sub-programs, we will specifically spend 215.8 billion rand, or 80% of the total Western Cape budget over the MTEF on social services, comprising 101 billion rand for education, 100 billion rand for health, 8.4 billion for social protection, and 6.4 billion rand for housing and community amenities. Speaker, a child's future begins long before they enter a classroom. So investing in early childhood development in the long term will improve literacy and numeracy and ensure that every young person in our province has a clear pathway from education into the workforce. So to Marita Peterson from the Cape Flats, we inquired about ECD funding. We will spend 1.395 billion rand in 2025-26, 1.461 billion rand in 2026-27, and 1.532 billion rand in 2027-28 towards early childhood development. Speaker, during the public participation period on the provincial budget, the feedback we received made one thing clear. The people of the Western Cape share our deep commitment to prioritizing quality, accessible education for children in our province. Like Samantha Saib from Kuils River and Audrey Wegner van Kleinmond, who both highlighted the importance of prioritizing education during this budget speech today. Over the past 10 years, learners of our province have felt the benefits of the Western Cape government's investment in education, evident in the improved primary and high school retention rates since 2019. This not only highlights the province's strides in keeping more learners in school, but it also indicates that more of our children are finishing their matric. We have further seen an improvement in systemic test results for grades 3, 6, and 9 over the last 3 years. This highlights that projects such as the Back on Track program are reaping rewards. However, despite these inroads, there are serious challenges facing the Western Cape Education Department in our government. Our schools are witnessing an unprecedented increase in learner enrollment, which has resulted in overcrowded classrooms and a decline in the learner-teacher ratio. This rapid increase in numbers requires us to step up to provide infrastructure enhancements in the education space and increased need to fund the employment of teachers. To accommodate learner growth, an additional 549.288 million rand over the medium term will be allocated to Western Cape Education Department for new educator posts, with 173.2 million allocated in 2025-26, 182.9 million in 2026-27, and 193.172 million rand in 2027-28. Additionally, this will be augmented with 113.5 million rand for the implementation of the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative for the 2025-26 financial year. The Western Cape Rapid Schools Build program will receive allocation of 2.298 billion rand over the MTF as part of the National BFI program, with 1.048 billion rand for 2025-26 and 1.25 billion rand for 2026-27. This will assist the Western Cape Education Department to address the urgent need for additional classrooms and learning facilities in the province. Over the MTF, our largest conditional grant additions over the MTF will be allocations to the Education Infrastructure Grant at 2.39 billion to accelerate construction, maintenance, upgrading, and rehabilitation of new and existing education infrastructure. And therefore, a total of 101 billion rand is allocated to the Department of Education envelope over the MTF. The Western Cape government will also be stepping up to strengthen our healthcare system. Access to quality, efficient, and responsive healthcare is non-negotiable. The health system has been dealt a major blow this year when the USAID and PEPFAR suspended all funding activities. This decision has significantly impacted essential healthcare services in the Western Cape, particularly access to HIV and TB care, as well as medicine distribution. The financial implication of this decision is 405.2 million rand funding shortfall for health services in the Western Cape for the 2025-26 financial year. The Department of Health and Wellness will, however, not leave vulnerable patients in the lurch. Measures to protect the people of the Western Cape include assessing the feasibility of absorbing critical services and seeking alternative funding sources to mitigate the financial and service delivery risks of halting of this program. This will also bolster our capacity to protect the department against further external disruptions that may come. Despite the financial challenges, the department can be proud of its progress. Data from the 2024 Municipal Economic Review and Outlook highlights, despite a general decline in neonatal mortality across the Western Cape, suggesting improvements in healthcare access and quality of care in maternal and neonatal care. The department can be proud also of the full recovery of HIV testing to pre-pandemic levels. To build on these achievements and to address the challenges in the system, 19.141 billion has been allocated for compensation of employees in the 2025-26 financial year in total, and the Department of Health will work on creating additional positions to restore their staffing levels. Finally, 295 million rand is provisionally ring-fenced for the 2027-28 financial year for the Tygerberg Hospital Redevelopment Health Technology. And additionally, the Health Facility Revitalization Grant will increase by 76.83 1.39 million rand in 2025-26. Thus, Speaker, a total of 100 billion rand is allocated to the Department of Health and Wellness envelope over the 2025 MTEF. And these allocations reaffirm the province's commitment to strengthening healthcare infrastructure and ensuring quality healthcare services for the people of the Western Cape. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the inroads that have been made in the province related to the quality of life for our residents. Over the past 2 decades, the Western Cape has made steady progress in reducing income inequality, with the Gini coefficient improving from 0.66 in 2002 to 0.59 in 2022, outperforming the national average of 0.68. At the same time, our human development remains consistently strong, with a provincial HTI of 0.76, further also well above the national average of 0.66. These gains reflect a province moving towards greater inclusivity and opportunity for all of its residents. The Western Cape has seen a rapid increase in population growth, placing our social services under severe strain. The Western Cape Department of Social Development will thus be stepping up to address these challenges head-on in order to safeguard the welfare of our communities, in an ongoing effort to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness on our social welfare services. 4 million rand has been earmarked in the 2025-26 financial year for the further development and enhancement of the social worker integrated management system, the SWIMS application, and its rollout to the NGO sector. This allocation will not only facilitate a more streamlined digitization of client files, significantly reducing the administrative burdens, and free up our social workers' time to focus on our most vulnerable people in our province. To Elise Williams from Silver Sands, who asked what we are doing for persons with disabilities. In addition to the services the Department of Mobility will be expanding on in transport, for social welfare services, we will increase subsidies for services for older persons, services to persons with disabilities, and social relief for humanitarian and disaster response through the Department of Social Development, with a total of 121.987 million rand, or a 10.94% increase from the 2024-25 financial year. Further, in light of disasters over the MTEF, 15 million rand has been allocated to the Department of Social Development for transfers to NPOs to provide humanitarian relief. This marks a shift from a reactive approach to a more proactive strategy in responding to disasters. And our child and youth care centres are crucial in providing alternative care, intervention services, and accommodation for children in need of protection and those in conflict with the law. Looking ahead, the Department of Social Development will continue enhancing post-statutory interventions and support for vulnerable children, with a budget allocation of 411.861 million rand over the MTEF. Speaker, youth unemployment remains unacceptably high. The DCAS will thus be stepping up and playing its role in order to empower communities. The Mass Participation, Opportunity and Access and Development and Growth, or MOD, after-school program, an initiative implemented by DCAS aimed at addressing socioeconomic challenges faced by children and youth, like poverty, inequality, crime, and limited access to constructive extracurricular activities, will be allocated 35.08 million rand for the 2025-26 financial year, supporting 315 mod centres in disadvantaged areas in 2025, facilitating continuous youth participation and community integration, and it has played a significant role in promoting talent development and promoting safe spaces for youth. Over the 2025 MTEF, 156.5 million rand is allocated to DCAS to facilitate the development, preservation and promotion of arts and culture development in the Western Cape. And 380.492 million rand is thus allocated for sport and school sport to make provision for sports facilities, competitions and talent development. In addition, 161.2 million rand is allocated to support enrichment programs for school learners and out-of-school youth, creating pathways to employment or further studies for such youth. A further 3 million is allocated for the 2025-26 financial year for the Year Beyond 1,000 Stories initiative, which aims to enhance literacy and community engagement through promoting youth placements as reading champions in libraries across the Western Cape. The Year Beyond program will sustain 3,000 opportunities for not in employment, education or training, or NEET youth, as we call them, under 25 over the 2025 MTEF. DCAS will expand its footprint through virtual tours and online exhibitions, continue to digitize the archives to improve preservation and access to archival records, and they will maintain and support library service points across the province, providing free internet access at more than 230 rural libraries and provisioning 37 mini libraries for the blind and visually impaired. DCAS will spend an approximately 28 million rand on broadband library connection and library service programs to top up the respective broadband. Speaker, the 2024 Provincial Economic Review and Outlook highlighted an increase in food poverty across the province. And to address this, the government will thus fund nutrition programs across departments. I see the headwinds have arrived. Speaker, through its 5-year strategy, the Feed the Province initiative, the Provincial Department of Social Development aims to improve food security by providing agricultural skills at their CYCCs and MPOs. This initiative is part of a broader strategy that allocates 142.3 million rand over the MTEF for ongoing nutritional support from DSD. In 2024-2025, through the DSD, over 1,000 persons with disabilities were able to access community-based care and support services such as nutritional meals, personal care, as well as 24-hour care. These initiatives will receive 476.2 million rand over the 2025 MTEF. The National Schools Nutrition Program grant will benefit 1,055 schools, including special schools, and the Mod Centre Feeding Scheme, which benefits 271 public ordinary schools, aims to address nutritional needs of learners and allocated a total of 689.3 million in 2025, 712.5 million rand in 2026, and 744.2 million rand in 2027-28. Even with limited resources, every rand we spend has a clear purpose: to improve the lives of the people of this province and to ensure they have access to dignified opportunities for prosperity. Our decisions will be rooted in realistic assessments of community needs to ensure that each investment, preventative measure, and intervention yield tangible benefits. And by prioritizing these essential areas, we are not only maintaining human dignity, but also laying the groundwork for a healthier, more equitable future for all in our province. Speaker, following the tabling of the national budget earlier this year, the Western Cape faces a clear imperative. We must deliver more with less. This demand is a shift from outdated approaches to modern, efficient systems that maximize every rand invested. The innovation culture and governance is about building.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable members, that a point of order?
Thank you, Speaker. Can you protect the minister from the DA members who are on their phones while she's presenting a budget? Does that mean that the budget is not inspiring?
Honourable member, that is not a point of order. Order, members. Order, members. Honourable Minister, you may continue. Honourable Minister, please take a seat. Honourable Member, you have had an opportunity to raise your point of order. I've ruled. Can you stop your engagement across the floor? Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Speaker, while that was not a question, and while I know that we don't usually do questions during the budget process, the Western Cape government has a very good relationship with the National Treasury, but on that, we do not agree. Speaker, through innovation, culture, and governance, we are building a framework, harnessing innovation, strengthening governance, and fostering a forward-thinking culture to secure sustainable progress. To give life to our vision of an innovative government, 23.439 billion rand is allocated for innovation, culture, and governance to enable this government to step up to do more with the ever-decreasing fiscal envelope. Speaker, the constrained fiscal envelope requires us to step up towards the new revenue sources, enhancing our current revenue sources and exploring alternative and blended financing models, particularly for infrastructure projects. The Western Cape unique asset base and proven standard for good governance and transparency makes thus for an attractive investment portfolio to private sector financiers, commercial and development finance institution. At this point, I should probably look towards the Consul Generals and the development banking institutions I've invited here today. So to Luwabo Ntaba from NISNA, who asked whether the Western Cape government could receive donations for relief for provincial governments. We have so far, through the Department of Social Development, signed a memorandum of agreement with the Health Foundation South Africa, a non-profit company, to establish the Cape Care Fund, which will strengthen support for and link donors to well-functioning registered non-profit organizations with a proven track record for delivering effective social services. And they have partnered with the United Nations Development Fund to strengthen social services in the Western Cape in order to develop and implement innovative programs, build capacity, enhance communication strategies, and mobilize resources through partnerships with the private sector for social impact initiatives. The Western Cape Education Department, in collaboration with Wesgro, has launched previously the Edu Invest, a groundbreaking public-private partnership initiative targeting investment in education with a focus on affordable, independent school development and education resources and services. And through the Department of Local Government, partnering with the Sustainable Infrastructure Development and Finance Facility Program, or CDAF, we have secured 73 million rand from the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs and 33 million rand from the Infrastructure Finance Unit within Denmark, which will contribute towards the 154 million rand needed to take 17 water and wastewater projects valued at more than 3 billion rand from feasibility to bankability. In order to ensure the successful rollout of this program, we will allocate the Department of Local Government 13.3 million rand to fund dedicated project management support of the program. Speaker, in order to explore alternative and blended financing models, the Western Cape government, through the Department of Infrastructure, will develop a 200 billion rand pipeline of bankable projects by 2030. Through the Provincial Treasury, we will establish our alternative and blended financing policy framework for our government. We will establish a panel of experts to evaluate our infrastructure project proposals, and we will collaborate with the National Treasury and the World Bank to establish a blended finance risk sharing platform, a credit guarantee vehicle, which will aim to mobilize private capital by de-risking critical projects in the energy, transport, and water sectors before expanding to areas within the social sector. So, Speaker, as you can see, as earlier we said, we work with national government on some things, but where we disagree, we will open our mouths and say so. To enhance our revenue sources, we will work with the National Treasury to make use of the budget facility for infrastructure and technical assistance from Infrastructure South Africa for our provincial departments and municipalities. Speaker, Anya de Nobrega from Vredenburg asked, we want less red tape for innovative triple Ps, and we would like to let her know that we will leverage the amended public-private partnership regulations from the National Treasury, which is effective 1 June 2025, to accelerate infrastructure delivery, attract private investment, and ensure financial sustainability of infrastructure projects, and will work hard to ensure less red tape for innovative triple Ps. Through the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, we will undertake research on the impact of tourism on our province and possible related revenue sources. And with the rapid increase of online sports betting, we will capacitate with 25.4 million rand over the MTEF, our Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board, to be able to collect more than 3 billion rand in taxes over the MTEF for the province. We will lobby the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition and the National Parliament to expedite the remote gambling bill to regulate illegal online gambling. protect our residents against the harms of the industry, and for the corresponding taxation to flow to provinces, and support departments and municipalities with researching additional and enhancing revenue streams. Speaker, in a world of rapid technological growth, automation, and artificial intelligence, we need to step up and find innovative ways to solve our problems. The Western Cape government will therefore leverage technology for information. The Department of the Premier thus will develop an AI governance framework and AI strategy, strengthening through our partnerships with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and Cape Higher Education Consortium, and explore high impact artificial intelligence use cases to enhance service delivery and governance. Our government, through the Provincial Treasury, will deploy our fiscal futures model, a tool for planning future expenditures based on revenue expenditures and different economic scenarios over a 10-year period. Speaker, we can now go toe-to-toe with the National Treasury econometrics. Through the Department of Infrastructure, we will allocate 75.9 million rand over the MTEF for the eMerge platform, a digital solution aimed at integrating key asset information into a single asset register. 87.6 million rand over the MTEF for building information modeling and the deployment of drones for road and facility condition assessments. And they will mainstream artificial intelligence and its associated computational power for advanced data analytics, predictive scenario planning, and transformative management of a dynamic digital twin asset register. Speaker, in the Western Cape government, our people are our biggest strength, and we have reaped the rewards of this strength by being recognized as a top employer. To put this into context, the Western Cape government's compensation of employees will account for 57% of the total provincial budget, growing our revised estimate from 45.4 billion rand in 2024-25 to 52.9 billion rand in 2027-28, increasing our government staff component by 2,580 positions in 2025-26 and amounting to 48.438 billion rand in 2025-26. 80% of the increase of staff component will stem from the Departments of Health and Wellness, Western Cape Education Department, and the Department of Mobility. And to support our officials, we will step up to offer 38,588 training opportunities. We will offer 2,223 bursaries and appoint 1,891 interns and offer 181 learnerships across the Western Cape government for the 2025-26 financial year. And we will empower and support our hard-working officials through our Department of the Premier by reconfiguring the Provincial Training Institute into an innovation hub and learning center of excellence. And we will strengthen our staff capacity with AI skills development, including development for AI implementation, policy, and ethical governance. Speaker, in the Western Cape, we take pride in our good governance brand. And here I should probably look again towards the banking institutions, because you need clean audits, a positive balance sheet, and quality and transparent financial statements if you want financial institutions to take you seriously for alternative and blended financing. The Western Cape government boasts with 100% unqualified audits. Speaker, a clean audit means that you are spending your money on what you said you are spending your money on. We are not perfect, but we are proud of our progress and honest about our areas for improvement. Over the years, Speaker, we have completed 14 expenditure reviews across departments, and in addition to assessing the progress of implementation of these expenditure reviews, we are completing an additional 2 expenditure reviews in the 2025-26 financial year, evaluating the efficiency in the utilization of government vehicles and the optimal utilization of government buildings. These expenditure reviews will assist in finding ways to stretch the people's money we have a little bit further and to be more innovative in our approach. In an effort to do more with less and now for more people, we will spend 57.981 billion rand over the MTEF on procurement for goods and services across government, comprising of the Department of Health and Wellness at 50.9% of all of our procurement in the province, the Western Cape Education Department at 18.6%, the Department of Infrastructure at 13.3%, the Department of the Premier at 6.4%, and the Western Cape Mobility Department at 4.9%. Our top 5 procurement items, which makes up 58.35% of our procurement spend, comprises of 3.884 billion rand on property payments, primarily for security services, municipal services, and property maintenance, 2.257 billion rand on medical supplies, 1.925 billion rand on medicine, 1.601 billion rand for contractors, mainly for contracting medical services and road and general building infrastructure maintenance, and 1.463 billion rand on computer services. The Western Cape government will continue to utilize strategic sourcing in order to increase our spending power, and by focusing on value for money, helping to stretch the people's money as far as possible for our services. And just to note, Speaker, government also pays VAT. So if you had to pay an increase of VAT, your procurement spending power comes down and you're able to buy less with what you have. Speaker, in the 2023-24 financial year, 59% of all procurement for the Western Cape government flowed to Black-owned businesses. We did this without set-asides or mandatory subcontracting. This is against a National Treasury target of 30% for provinces. In simple terms, we do not dictate who gets a contract, and we do not dictate who gets to participate in our provincial economy. We focus on having a diverse pool of suppliers, multiple opportunities for training and information sessions, and with an emphasis on value for money. We have thus shown through data and evidence there is no reason to exclude anyone from participating in our economy on arbitrary terms. We have proven that both transformation and economic growth can coexist. It is not a zero-sum game. Because the Western Cape budget is not government's money, it is the people's money. And we must spend the people's money in the most responsible manner on the people of the Western Cape. Speaker, the National Public Procurement Act seeks to centralize procurement with the National Treasury and the Office of the Procurement Officer, and strips provinces from drafting our own procurement policies as indicated in our national constitution. The Western Cape government will not accept this and will be pursuing legal action in this regard. Speaker, if we want to have growth and jobs, we need strong, well-functioning municipalities with healthy finances. We will thus spend a total of 9.731 billion rand over the MTEF to capacitate, support, and strengthen our municipalities. We will review and enhance the local government support strategy, establish a help desk to provide legal guidance on governance matters, development and distribution of circulars offering administrative support and targeted assistance. We will develop a Western Cape municipal framework for senior management appointments to standardize and streamline recruitment processes. And we've already published our first ever Western Cape local government budget performance review, in which we will also update post-municipal audit outcomes. We will allocate 12.6 million rand for capacity building and support to municipalities in the execution of their roles and responsibilities. 19.3 million rand to strengthen municipal support interventions. We will allocate an additional 3.9 million rand for our two-song programs, including service centers and satellite. 4.6 million rand for the two-song services centers grant for operational support, 9.18 million rand for the community development worker operational support grant, and 12.2 million rand for the municipal service delivery and capacity building grant. We will allocate by the Provincial Treasury 63 million rand over the MTEF for the Western Cape Financial Management Capability Grant, supporting municipalities with water, energy, and financial planning programs. The RCEP program, implemented by the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, promotes spatial transformation, economic development, and urban renewal through targeted interventions in underdeveloped communities. The program integrates a whole of society approach to development planning, supporting local municipalities in improving infrastructure and community services. An allocation thus of 49.755 million rand towards the regional planning and management and special programs will enable the implementation of RCEP for an average of 13 municipalities over the 2025 MTEF. And by stepping up, we must therefore ensure that our municipalities are bright shining lights on this hill. The Western Cape government must enable them in this regard to capacitate them to drive economic growth and job creation in the Western Cape. In terms of populations, 65.8% of all Western Cape residents reside in the city of Cape Town, 13.4% in the Cape Winelands district, 8.9% in the Garden Route district, 6.5% in the West Coast district, 4.3% in the Overberg district, and 1% in the Central Karoo district. When analyzing our budgetary items in terms of spatial distribution of our provincial expenditure for the 2025-26 year, with an average of 11,634 rand per capita spending across the province, we will find the Western Cape spending 10,086 rand per capita in the West Coast district, 10,670 rand per capita in the Garden Route district, 10,706 rand per capita in the Overberg district, 10,946 rand per capita in the Cape Winelands district, 11,866 rand per capita in the city of Cape Town, and 15,609 rand per capita in the Central Karoo district, the highest per capita provincial expenditure in the province. So to Clarissa Smith from Mikey's Fontaine, who asked us to focus on education systems in the rural area, I can confirm that education, health, and infrastructure spending will dominate the sectoral spending in each of our regions, including the 35.5% of the provincial spending for education in Laingsburg municipality. Speaker, as we navigate these testing times, let us step up to realize our apex objective for the Western Cape, helping businesses grow and create jobs and equipping you to get those jobs. We'll do this through our policy priorities of driving growth for jobs, enhancing safety, fostering an educated, healthy and caring society, and promoting innovation, culture and effective governance. We face undeniable hardships. The economy faces global headwinds and national economic stagnation remains. But this budget, Speaker, is not just numbers. It is the exact opposite. It is a resolute response for a vision. It stands as an enabler of growth, clearing the path for the market to unleash its potential and push us forward. Speaker, al gaan ons ook in 'n dal van doodskade weer. Ons sal geen onheil vrees nie, want U is met ons. Die stok en die staf, die vertroos ons. U berei die tafel voor ons aangesig teenoor ons teestanders. U maak ons howe vet met olie. Ons bekers loop oor. Met goedheid en guns sal ons volg al die dae van ons lewe en ons sal in die huis van die Here bly in lengte van dae, soos die Psalm 23. I extend my deepest gratitude, Speaker, for an unwavering dedication and hard work for the Provincial Treasury team. Our tireless efforts have made this moment possible. My special acknowledgements goes to the head of Treasury, Ms. Yolanda Cantana, along with our senior management team, Annelies Spiek, Taryn van der Rede, Paul Pinaar, Mitchell Nicholas, Ziad Majid, Malcolm Boyson, Stephen Kenyon, Isaac T, and Elizabeth Wen, together with your respective teams for your invaluable contributions. Your steadfast commitment to safeguarding our provincial budget process and prioritizing the best interests of our residents does not go unnoticed. Speaker, the current fiscal environment has not made balancing economic growth with protecting frontline services easy. And despite our government stepping up and stretching our rands a little bit further as we do more with less for more people. To my finance ministry team, Dr. Grant Caswell, Marshall Fredericks, and Lenku Vins Westhuizen. I'm grateful for your technical expertise, professionalism, innovative ideas, and insightful contributions. And to Sandra Francisco, Gaina Lucas, Ekshan Davids, and Edwina Herman, thank you for your dedication to ensuring seamless administration, operations, and logistical efficiency. Your collective efforts are the backbone of our work. To the children's monitors, through the Office of the Children's Commissioner, thank you for your budget drawings, budget tips, the youthful insights to make the budget process more accessible for youth. Thank you to our Premier, our Cabinet, our heads of department as led by the Director General, and our team finance colleagues across government, including National Treasury and local government accounting officers, for your unwavering commitment to trust and transparency, fairness, value for money, and innovation. To my friends, thank you for your support and motivation. And to my parents and sister, thank you for laying a strong foundation for my success. To the people of the Western Cape, your trust and support inspires us to serve with honesty and excellence. We remain committed to building a stronger and more prosperous province where every resident can live lives they value. And Speaker, to every girl child who has ever wondered whether they have what it takes to table an 89 billion rand budget, the answer is yes, you do. Speaker, we will step up. Kaal voet oor Tafelberg as ons moet. Buurvrou Keiser Philander, ek kan nie lank praat nie. Ons het 'n projek. Speaker, vir bespreking en beraadslaging vandag voor die Wes-Kaapse Provinsiale Parlement lê ek ter tafel die Wes-Kaapse Begrotingswetsontwerpwet 2/2025, die 2025 oorsig van provinsiale inkomste en uitgawes, die 2025 beramings van provinsiale inkomste en uitgawes, die 2025 provinsiale staatskoerant vir munisipale toekennings en die 2025 begrotingsrede. Speaker, let's get to work. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. The secretary will read the bill a first time.
Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
In accordance with Rule 188, subsection 1, the introductory speech, the bill and papers laid upon the table will be referred to the relevant committees for consideration and report. Before we adjourn, I would like to remind the members that the Budget Committee will commence at 1 p.m. That concludes the business for the day. The Secretary will now end the meeting and all members will be exited from the sitting. Honourable members, honourable guests, the House is adjourned.